Alhamdulillahi wali salihin. Our praise belongs to Allah, who is the ally of the righteous. Ahmaduhu subhanahu wa ta'ala wa ashkuruhu wa uthni alayhi. I praise him tabarak wa ta'ala, thank him and extol him. Wa usalli wa usallimu ala nabiyyina Muhammad. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to raise the rank and honor of and grant security and peace to our Prophet Muhammad وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما مزيدا أما بعد. We continue, Barakallahu feekum, reading from the words of the Shaykh al-Allama, the Rahman ibn Nasr al-Sa'di rahmatullahi alayhi, from his book Usul al-Deen, the fundamentals of the Deen. We heard in the last sitting from the speech of the Shaykh, مستدلا بكتاب الله تبارك وتعالى, employing evidence from the words and speech of our Lord Jalla Sha'nu, from his book concerning the definition of Islam. And there is no doubt that Islam is Husnun Hasin, that Islam is an impenetrable, impregnable fortress that will protect a person and raise and elevate a person. And as was discussed yesterday with our dear brothers in the community in Richmond, Virginia, Allah tabarak wa ta'ala adamahum Allahu ala al-khair. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them a continuity of goodness and bless them and bless their efforts. That from the blessing of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala upon the Arab is that they were never in a state of might and honor and dignity, and they were never able to establish a civilization on a large scale outside of their local community until Allah tabarak wa ta'ala sent the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so what came from the fruits of that, of the good in this world and the hereafter, and of protection from Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, cannot be attributed to anything besides the fadl of Islam, the ni'mah of Allah, the bounty of Islam, the blessing of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala. And from the mercy of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed Islam to be established in the earth for these more than 1400 years since the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we have been able to see the times of the strength of the Muslims and the times of weakness of the Muslims correlating to their religious strength or religious weakness. We have been able to see that when the Muslims were strong in adhering to the teachings of their religion, that they accomplished a feat that no other group of people had ever accomplished on the face of the earth. And they spread this religion from the Himalayas all the way to the coast of the Atlantic Ocean within less than a century after the death of our beloved Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that when they became weak, then the affairs, as comes in the hadith, where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Khamsun a'idhukum billahi an tudrikahunna." There are 5 affairs that I seek Allah's refuge from you ever experiencing or encountering. And from those affairs, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, وَمَا وَلَمْ يَنْقُضُوا أَحْدَ اللَّهِ وَأَحْدَ رَسُولِهِ إِلَّا سَلَّطَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ عَدُوًّا مِنْ سِوَى أَنفُسِهِمْ فَيَأْخُذُونَ بَعْضَ مَا فِي أَيْدِيهِمْ. That the Muslims never broke the covenant with Allah, which is a tawheed, and to establish Islam. And the covenant with the Prophet ﷺ, they never violated that and broke that covenant. What violates more than anything else? The covenant with Allah and the covenant with the Prophet ﷺ. Tawheed wa shirk. They never violated the covenant of Allah and the covenant of the Prophet ﷺ, the Messenger, the covenant of the Messenger ﷺ, except that Allah unleashed against them an enemy from outside of themselves. Shaykh Mahmoud Shakir rahmatullahi alayhi, he said in his monumental, his ra'iyah, his masterpiece, that is called At-Tariq ila Thaqafatina. Short book, around 200 pages. It's called How We Got Our Culture. How we got our culture, meaning how the Muslims, how the culture of the Muslim world changed from the culture of Islam to a culture that was imported by al-Musta'mirin, by the Europeans who colonized the lands of the Muslims and supplanted and altered much of the ways of the Muslims and so on and so forth. And Shaykh Mahmoud Shakir rahmatullahi alayhi, he outlined in great detail how this occurred, starting with the event in the 11th century, the beginning of the 12th century on the Gregorian calendar of the Crusades, al-Hurub, the wars, al-Salibiyyah, any of the cross, the Crusaders who came into the Muslim lands, and how they failed despite their murder of hundreds of thousands, millions of Muslims. How eventually, after attempt after attempt after attempt, they failed utterly. And they learned that what made the Muslims strong was ilm. That what made the Muslims strong, the Shaykh said, was ilm. It's the basis, the asl of our thaqafah, he said. The basis of our culture is al-ilm, is knowledge. Al-asl al-akhlaqi, the moral basis of our culture is knowledge and belief, character and morality, and so on and so forth. And so, when they had this ilm, the ilm, he said, of the dunya and the ilm of the akhirah, together, ma'an, together, the knowledge of this world and the knowledge of the hereafter, meaning the knowledge of the deen and the knowledge of the dunya. They had these two things together, more than anyone else had them. And they started to send their academics and their monks and their bishops and their learned persons to the lands of Islam to learn everything they could about the sciences that the Muslims had, and to learn about the religion of the Muslims, to learn about the religion of the Muslims and the culture of the Muslims and the insides and the outsides of the society, so that they could study it in order to try to dismantle it and do away with it. And he mentioned how they were successful in acquiring the knowledge of the dunya from the Muslims. And they built their society, he said, during the Nahda, during the Renaissance, they built their society upon that knowledge. That's a fact. They built their Renaissance. The Europeans, they built their Renaissance upon the knowledge that they took from the Muslims. He said, rahmatullahi alayhi, however, this knowledge that they took from the Muslims wasn't sharrun mahd. This takes us back to something we heard in the last sitting. It wasn't pure evil, but Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, from His mercy, would use the knowledge that the Europeans took and that they used to establish themselves and make themselves strong and crawl out of their dark ages, to punish His ibad, out of His mercy, to punish His ibad, and to humiliate them so that they would return back to their religion. Azim. Shay Azim. Tremendous. Islam, without a doubt. Hisnun Hasin. It's an impenetrable fortress. And that we build our communities here in the Western land, here in the land of disbelief, here in a land where we have the ability, barakallahu feekum, we have the ability to speak the truth with less pressure and with less hardship than can be experienced in many of the Muslim lands. As our scholars, they say, from the bitter fruits of what is called a tafsir al-siyasi lil-Islam, the political interpretation of Islam, that started with Maududi in more recent times, who poisoned Sayyid Qutb, and who was the destroyer, and from the Mufakkirin Munaddirin, and from the theorist who gave ideological terrorism its basis, and formed, and he was a part of, and the mother of all political groups and all terrorist groups was the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. That from that poison spread throughout the earth, and the people who were multahin, people who had liha, had beards, and who were wearing traditional Arab garb, and who, you say to yourself now, the Ikhwanis used to dress like that. Yes, sir. Yeah, once upon a time. But I guess when you're in Rome, you do like the Romans, right? You know. They said about Jamal ad-Din al-Afghani that whatever land he was in, he dressed like the people of that land. When he was Sheikh Albani, Sheikh Mukbir rahmatullahi called him, he called him al-Muta'afghan, and the one who acted like an Afghani. He wasn't even Afghani, he was Persian, right? One who acted like an Afghani. And he's in, what they call it, the hats that the Pashtuns wear, right? The folded up hats, wherever he went, he just blend in, so on and so forth. When he was with the Queen of England, he, put the little, choke tie on and so on and so forth. And he was with the French, he acted like the French and dressed like the French and so on and so forth. And these people, they change their colors, barakallahu fikum. The point is that they put such an ugly face on Islam in the Muslim world. In the Muslim world and outside of the Muslim world. In the Muslim world, and they put pressure. Sheikh Muhammad Sa'id Raslan, he said he remembers when he was a student in Azhar, way back in the day before a lot of the political assassinations, like the assassination of the minister in Egypt, and Qarasi, I believe was his name, the one that was assassinated, that the people, they had, he said, a level of freedom of speech to call to the religion that had not been witnessed in Egypt for hundreds and hundreds of years, maybe all the way back to the time, he said, of Amr ibn al-As, radiyallahu anhu. And he's something that hadn't existed perhaps since the time of the Sahaba. And all that was destroyed by what? By the terrorism of the Ikhwan al-Muslimin, by the terrorism of Jama'atul Jihad, by the terrorism of the different groups that arose and so on and so forth. But the point is that, alhamdulillah, we live in this land, and people are, and he's saying what they're saying, and spreading paranoia and Islamophobia, and so on and so forth. وَمَنْ لَا يَخَافُ اللَّهِ, Ibn Abdul Bar, he said, كَانَ يُقَالُ, he said the people in the past, they used to say, whoever doesn't fear Allah, أَخَافَهُ اللَّهُ مِنْ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ, Allah will make him afraid of everything. You say, people, they're afraid of everything. So, they're afraid of, the water they drink, they're afraid of, every sickness you can imagine. They just live their lives in fear. They're afraid of poverty. They're afraid of their spouses cheating on them. They're afraid of losing their jobs. They spend their lives in fear. It's their reality. It's their reality. And so they're afraid of us. They're afraid of us. But alhamdulillah, we have this opportunity in this land, to call to the religion of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, where our situation is similar to what the Prophet ﷺ mentioned when he said in the hadith of Abdullah ibn Amr, Sahih Muslim, Kitab al-Iman, I believe the last hadith, he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, ma antum fi ahli shirk illa ka sha'aratin bayda ala thawrin aswad. What are you compared to the people of shirk except like stray white hairs on an all black ox? The people of Iman and Tawheed and brightness, they shine through, and they are minorities. You ever see an animal that has dark hair and then it has few stray bright hairs or white hairs and so on and so forth? This is how the believers of Prophet ﷺ said, this is how they are compared to Ahl al-Shirk, compared to the people of Shirk. One of the Mashaykh said some years ago, this doesn't give you a nadra sawdawiyya mutasha'ima, pessimistic, dark outlook at the world, surrounded by darkness, so on and so forth. He said the believer sees nothing but opportunity. Nothing but opportunity. All these people that you could call to Islam. All these people that you could be an example for. All this opportunity around us. Barakallahu feekum. Islam, barakallahu feekum, is Hisnun Hasin. It's an impenetrable fortress. And so we have to make sure that we understand what Islam is, and to strengthen the core of our faith. and to strengthen those things that will guarantee the thamarat, the fruits that come on the tree of faith, of protection from Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. May Allah protect us. And of sustenance from Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, and guidance from Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. And before that, the forgiveness and mercy of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Allahumma ighfir lana wa'fu anna. So, to begin, so we keep it short, right? The Shaykh explained that Islam is belief and submission. Belief and submission. Some of the scholars of Islam, they have said that everything in the book of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala is Tawheed. Everything in the Quran, every ayat is about Tawheed, in one way or another. The whole religion is about Tawheed. I think it was Salman al-Auda who said sometime back, Allah musta'an, that a person can learn Tawheed in 10 minutes or something foolish like that. When they mentioned that to a Shaykh Salih Fawzan, he laughed. This is not characteristic of the Shaykh. You don't see our Mashaykh and he busting a gut and laughing and these sorts of things. The Shaykh audibly laughed when they mentioned that to him. Our brother, he said in our last sitting here, that if a person was to read Kitab al-Tawheed or Surah Thalatha, the books of the Imam al-Mujaddid Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, 30 or 40 or 50 times, and he still has not read it enough. He still has not read it enough. This is the basis of our religion. The point, Islam is what? Islam is belief and submission. Islam is belief and submission. It is entirely connected to the affair of Tawheed. And the scholars, they have said that there are two parts of Tawheed. How many categories? 3 categories of Tawheed. There are 2 parts. There is what is called the Tawheed of knowledge, what is called the Tawheed of action. The Tawheed of knowledge is to single out Allah, to know about and affirm and believe in the names, attributes, and actions of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. The names, the attributes, and the actions of Allah. This consists of the Tawheed of al-Asma'i wa Sifat, the names and the attributes, and the Tawheed of the actions of Allah, which is called, singling out Allah with His actions is called al-Rububiyyah. Al-Rububiyyah. So Allah is singled out with creating everything. Thus He owns everything. And He controls everything. From His total ownership of everything, He controls everything. And so that last statement in particular, that He controls everything, is a summary of the actions of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala as regards His creation. And so, to know about Allah's names, attributes, and actions produces the result of the realization and acceptance based upon certainty and conviction that nothing has a right to be worshipped but Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, which is the Tawheed of action. Knowledge comes before statement and action. Right? And so when the people know about Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, it leads to the result of submitting to Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala with worship. Submitting to Allah with worship. And we said before, Islam is belief and submission. Belief and submission. The belief, the knowledge, it leads to the action. The belief, it leads to submission. It leads to submission. So Shaykh Sa'di rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, with his detailed explanation of Islam, he said, rahmatullahi alayhi, that after knowing that they have a creator who has knowledge of all things, power over all things, who has created everything, He has created with the highest degree, an unfathomable degree of wisdom, Tabarak wa Ta'ala. And likewise, everything that He has legislated and revealed, He has revealed with wisdom, Tabarak wa Ta'ala. And then all of that, everything that He has created and everything that He has revealed is, He said, مَمْلُوءٌ مِّن رَحْمَتِهِ. It is filled with the mercy of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. It is filled with the mercy of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. So there are 4 things that I mentioned here from the attributes of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala and His actions. They are from His attributes, His knowledge, His power, His wisdom, Tabarak wa Ta'ala, and then from His actions, His mercy, Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. the mercy of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. He said, once they know this, and they know that this mercy of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala is beyond ما يعبر عنه المعبرون, what can be expressed, ولا يقدر أن يصفه الواصفون, and what no one has the ability to fully even describe in His greatness. Then once they realize this, then they will realize that the blessings of Allah are uncountable, and that no one can praise Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala as He deserves to be praised. وَهَذَا أَمْرٌ قَدْ اعْتَرَفَ بِهِ الْبَرُّ وَالْفَاجِرُ. And this is an affair that is recognized and admitted to by the righteous and the wicked. The righteous and the wicked, and the Muslims and the non-Muslims. Right? In general, any atheism is something, I think that's an oddity, even here in this country. It's not a common thing to find a lot of people who are just flat-out atheists. Even a lot of people who are militant atheists, and they are coming around to some type of belief in a creator, so on and so forth. The universal belief for those who say that they believe that there is a creator for the universe, who are the majority of creation for the history of mankind, have always believed that. Then they believe in general what was mentioned here, which is that the creator is omniscient, meaning that He knows all things, and that He is omnipotent, meaning that He has power over all things, and that He is what they say omnibenevolent, and that He is all merciful. He is all merciful. And so these are commonalities that are used because that's how you start a conversation, right? With things that are common between people. These are common issues that are used to call people to Islam. To call people to Islam. There's no doubt that this came from somewhere. This was created by something. And that what created this, what brought this into existence, must be all-knowing, all-powerful, all-wise, and all-merciful. And so what is the natija of that? The Shaykh says, this is something that is recognized by the righteous and the wicked. Meaning Allah's knowledge, Allah's power, Allah's wisdom, and Allah's benevolence and mercy. This is something that is accepted by everybody. That they believe that there is a God, they believe that there is a deity. يعني الحكم للغالب, يعني the majority of people in all times and places have believed this about the Creator, that He is all-knowing, all-powerful, all-wise, and all-merciful. ولهذا أخبر الله عن المشركين أنهم يعترفون أن الله هو الخالق وحده. As such, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informs us about the people of polytheism, meaning in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that they admitted and recognized that Allah tabarak wa ta'ala was a creator alone. Al-Maliku wahda. And since He created everything, everything belongs to Him. So He is their owner. He owns them. He owns everything, tabarak wa ta'ala. Al-Mudabbiru wahda. And He is the one who controls all things. And He is in control of what He owns, of His kingdom, tabarak wa ta'ala. They believe this about Allah in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the mushrikun. They believe this about Allah tabarak wa ta'ala. وَإِنَّمَا يَتَّخِذُونَ أَوْثَانَهُمْ وَمَعْبُودَاتِهِمْ يَزْعُمُونَ أَنَّهَا تُقَرِّبُهُمْ إِلَى اللَّهِ زُلْفَى. But they only worship what they worship with the claim that by worshipping those things, that those things were intermediaries, intercessors between them and Allah, and those things, by worshipping them, will bring them closer to Allah. That those things will bring them closer to Allah. Those entities that they worship, they believe will bring them closer to Allah. But they didn't believe that they were the supreme deity. وَإِلَّا فَهُمْ يَعْلَمُونَ عَجْزَهَا وَفَقْرَهَا وَغَيْرَ ذَلِكَ مِنْ صِفَاتِ النَّقْصِ. Otherwise, the Shaykh says that they were well aware of the helplessness of their deities that they worshipped, and the faqr, and the fact that their deities that they worshipped were in need of something besides themselves to provide for them and sustain them and so on and so forth. And other than that, from the attributes of an-naqs, and the attributes of imperfection. فَإِذَا عُلِمَ أَنَّ اللَّهَ تَعَالَى هُوَ الَّذِي لَهُ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْعَظِيمَةُ الْحُسْنَى وصفات الكاملة العليا وأنه المتفرد بكل كمال وعظمة وجلال وأنه الخالق الرازق المدبر ومن سواه مخلوق فقير إليه مدبر وأن جميع النعم والفضل والخيرات والمنافع من الله وحده وأنه دافع لكل شر وسوء وهو الذي يستحق أن يكون هو الإله المألوح وحده سبحانه. And so once it was known by people and recognized that the most tremendous and beautiful names belong to Allah, and the loftiest of attributes are His, and that He is the one who was singled out as possessing every perfection and majesty and greatness, and that He is the creator, the provider, and the controller, and that everything besides Him is created in dire need of Him and under His control and authority. And once it is realized that all blessings and all goodness and benefit is in the hand of Allah and under the control of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, and there is no one who can protect anything or anyone from evil except for Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, then the result of that, tasdeeq, the result of that, i'tiqad, the result of that belief is what? That Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala alone has the right to be worshipped. And Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala alone has the right to be worshipped. As Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, He said, وَهُوَ الَّذِي فِي السَّمَاءِ إِلَاهٌ وَفِي الْأَرْضِ إِلَاهٌ. In Surah Al-Zukhruf, verse number 84, Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, He said that it is He who is an ilah. He is the deity worshipped by the inhabitants of the heavens, meaning the malaika, and the deity that is worshipped by the inhabitants of the earth. And so this affair of belief and submission correlates to Tawheed, and everything else is built upon that. The highest truth that is to be believed in, is the fact that Allah alone has the right to be worshipped. The highest justice, because we said that the religion is information and rulings that must be believed and submitted to, and that the whole religion is truth and justice. So the highest truth is the fact that Allah alone has the right to be worshipped. The highest justice is to worship Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala alone without partners. And everything else is built upon that. Everything else is built upon that. In a society where these things aren't present, if al-kadhibu ala Allah is sa'igh, if it's okay to lie in Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, it's okay to lie in anything else. If it's alright to violate the right of Allah, and we don't say oppress Allah, because Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, He said in His book, وَمَا ظَلَمُونَ وَلَكِنْ كَانُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ يَظْلِمُونَ. As regards their disbelief and their polytheism, Allah said that they did not oppress me in my greatness, but rather they oppressed themselves. They oppressed themselves. But it is oppression. But they have oppressed themselves. The highest oppression is a person oppressing himself with shirk billahi tabarak wa ta'ala. This is the foundation of society. It's the foundation of a community. It's the foundation of you and your future and your life. It's to believe, to submit to Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, and to base your life upon truth and justice in every way. It's the foundation of Islam. Barakallahu feekum. So we said that we'd be brief. I think that was brief. We ask Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala to make us of those people who embody what we heard from our brother Abdul Wali in the statement of Imam Malik rahmatullahi alayhi, who said, كَانَ لِلَّهِ يَبْقَى, that whatever is sincere for Allah will survive and remain. Whatever is sincere for Allah will survive and remain. That we build our communities upon the Tawheed wa Sunnah. We ask Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala to make us of those who give great importance to knowledge and brotherhood, because that is more important than anything. Think about the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the Prophet ﷺ looked at the Kaaba and he said, Wallahi, that you be dismantled brick by brick is ahwanu alayya, is lighter to me than the shedding of the blood of a single Muslim. Than the shedding of the blood of a single Muslim. Think about that. The value of the Muslim, the integrity of the Muslim. And he The masjid is a place that brings the people together, but it's just, and if it wasn't a masjid, it could be a nightclub. If it wasn't a masjid, it could be anything else that you could imagine. And what makes the masjid is what occurs in a masjid of ibadah and ilm, of worship and knowledge. And so if the masajid are mu'attala, if they're abandoned and they're left without life, and they're left without worship, and they're left without the dhikr of Allah, and they're left without the seeking of beneficial knowledge, then it's just a building. It's just a building. It doesn't bring you any barakah to have a masjid, unless you take advantage of the blessing of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, وَمَنْ لَا يَشْكُرُ الْقَلِيلَ لَا يَشْكُرُ الْكَثِيرِ. And whoever is not grateful for little will not be grateful for much. We hear over and over again the reminders, specifically from our brothers who were blessed to meet a Shaykh Muqbil rahmatullahi alayhi, and to study in Yemen. And we're reminded the biography of a Shaykh Muqbil rahmatullahi alayhi, how the Shaykh arrived in his land, and he had a masjid that was probably not much bigger than this. And how every time they built an expansion on the masjid, he said, by Allah, I don't think we'll fill it up. And they kept making the masjid bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until, and Allah musta'an, may Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, and He give us thabat, Allah give us firmness, alhamdulillah, and He al-izdiyad, increase and so on and so forth, is in the hand of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala. However, Allah has sunan kawniyah, He has unchangeable ways and laws in how He deals with His creation. And from that is His saying tabarak wa ta'ala, وَإِذْ تَأَذَّنَ رَبُّكُمْ لَإِنْ شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. And remember that your Lord announced to mankind that if you show gratitude to me, then certainly without a doubt I will increase you. Certainly without a doubt I will increase you. Ask Allah tabarak wa ta'ala for al-mazid min fadlihi. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. You see that the numbers of the masajid of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah are increasing. We need to be selfless people. People who have ithar, who have selflessness, who want the good for others, like we want it for ourselves. Any people who put ourselves to the side and we roll up our sleeves and get busy however we can, with whatever Allah tabarak wa ta'ala has given us in our disposal. And to educate and teach people at whatever level, beginning with our children, beginning with the people that we have most responsibility for. Barakallahu feekum, and Shaykh Muqbil rahmatullahi alayhi, was reported that he used to say, Man la yu'allim akhahu fala barakallahu fihi. Whoever doesn't teach his brother with that which he has the ability to teach, may Allah not bless him. May Allah not bless him. There's no reason why a person is Muslim for more than a couple years and can't teach a new Muslim how to pray and make wudu and the basics of his religion. Why a person doesn't know a book like Ad-Durus al-Muhimmah, Li'amat al-Ummah, important lessons for every Muslim. And he, from front to back, well enough to teach it to people, well enough to instruct others, well enough to give basic instruction to his family, to his wife, to his children, so on and so forth. The basis of unity, barakallahu feekum, the basis of cohesion in the society is that we come together upon one single objective, one single goal, which is أن تكون كلمة الله هي العليا, to make the word of Allah the uppermost. This is what unites the people, that their understandings and their ambitions and what they want is united, and that they are engaging in seeking beneficial knowledge, and they are engaging in trying to build their communities and using what they have at their disposal to establish a religion of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala on a local level. Ibn Qayyim rahmatullahi alayhi, he said in his last fasl, his last lesson from the book Al-Nuniyah, Al-Kafiyah, Al-Shafiyah, he made a long dua for the people of Sunnah and against the people of innovation, closing his lengthy poem in defense of the creed of Ahl Sunnah. And he said, هذا ونصر الدين فرض واجب لا للكفاية بل على العيان باليد وإما بلساني وإن عجزت فبالتوجح والدعاء بجناني. This is our creed, this is our belief, and supporting the religion of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala is an obligation, not upon some people, but upon everybody. Supporting the religion is an obligation not upon some people, that if they were to take the responsibility is moved from others. But everybody has to chip in. Everybody has a responsibility. بِالْيَدْ وَإِمَّا بِالْلِسَانِ, with the hand, or either with the tongue. And if you don't have the ability to do that, if you don't have yad, you have the ability to spend, you don't have any skills to bring the community, you don't know how to, do some basic repairs, or, you got a bad back so you can't bend over and pick up, stuff that needs to be picked up off the floor of the masjid, or whatever you could do with your hand and your energy. Then with the tongue, everyone has a responsibility of advising for the sake of Allah, ordering the good or forbidding the evil, at-tashji', mas'uliyatul jami', and encouraging the people, building the morale in the community. With the hand or either with the tongue. And if you are incapable of either, then the least you could do is at-tawajjuh, and direct your heart towards the good and make dua sincerely from your heart. Allah tabarak wa ta'ala yansurun haqq wa ahla. Allah tabarak wa ta'ala supports the truth and the people of the truth, and He makes us from the people of truth. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless the people of the Sunnah, and to increase the efforts and these local masajid. And we say to you brothers, like we said to the brothers in Richmond yesterday, that you have a great potential. You have a great potential in being a small community and being isolated and away from a lot of problems that exist in larger communities. Barakallahu feekum, you have the potential of being closer. And I lived in Virginia, so I could tell you there's nothing to do here except come to the masjid. Right? There's nothing to do. Right? It's boring like that. That's good. Because when you have nothing to do, you have nowhere else to be but here. Bring yourselves and bring your kids and bring your families and be close and know each other and visit each other in each other's homes and learn those things that are from the etiquettes of Islam, and be patient. And then be patient, and then be patient with your brothers. And don't let the shaitan run amok through the ranks. And how do we prevent that? By busying ourselves with good. By busying ourselves with good. Barakallahu feekum. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.